Hey y'all, thanks for checking out Modified. This is the RCSB Project. If you're new to the channel, you want to get caught up, go to my channel, check out playlist, RCSB Project. Today, I'm going to go ahead and drop the power steering rack, wire brush and paint everything, and install the new one. And if I got time, I'm going to go ahead and throw the drop springs, drop spindles, and cross-drilled slotted brake rotors on it before. Check it out. I'm going to get in here and grab this double 24 millimeter. Got a breaker bar to hold it back up. And it's just about off. So I'm just going to loosen this up. But I need to take all the lines off of it still. Good to catch the other side here. All right, so that's about to fall out. All right, 11 millimeter ratchet wrench. That's money right there. Oh, I love one click at a time. I could have just left the lift down, got it from the top, and been done with it by now. At least it's captured on the backside. Almost there. I'm able to get more than one click at a time now. So after this, I can pull off the lines that come from the pump. Get this old nasty greasy rack out of here that's leaking all over the place. I think we'll learn how to rebuild one of these next. I was talking to Master P this morning, and he actually agreed to let me go ahead and cut a coil out the front of his truck and get it to sit right. So we ended up putting a 1-inch lift shackle in the back of his. There we go. It's the bolt we've been looking for. 18 millimeter, that gets your lines off. Inverted flare. Usually just one good pop and then they're easy to get off the rest of the way. And for your two lines, you got a pressure line and drain in a pan. Your return line, which is not a pressure line. So pressure line is going to have these pressed on fittings like this. And your non-pressure line is just going to have hose clamps. As soon as this is out of here, then we can drop this power steering rack. I got a new one in the box. But, you know, you just can't put the new parts on the old rusty frame. You got to hit that with the wire brush and some paint. We did this on Master P's truck. We just didn't film it. That's where I got this deja vu from. So it's these bolts right here. Once you pull the washers and stuff out the back, the sway bars got them so they don't fall all the way out. But you lift up on your rack and pull them out the rest of the way. There's a ground strap on it. That's definitely a 10 millimeter. That's why I felt like it was swinging, because it was. All right. Just leave the screw in that. That'll come right out now. Keep stepping on my tray. I'll just keep going the hard way. New power steering rack. The box is a little beat up, but what you expect a power steering rack to do a cardboard box during shipping. All right. Nice and clean. Beautiful. New bushings. This was an eBay reman special. And since my outer tie rod ends are still good, I'll just clean them up and reuse them. Because since we're changing new parts with newer parts, just because the old parts were dirty, dirt comes off. Save $1 where you can, you know? As a comparison, same part. I think I'm gonna rebuild that one myself. It's like the end seals leaked on it, and the little rubber cushions broke. So I'll rebuild that one, put it in the next one. But this is awesome. Don't have to clean nothing. So I'm now to the point where I just take a wire brush to all this and some degreaser and spray it all down and let it dry, then hit it with a coat of black paint. Stuff's just coming right off. Like really, it's nice frame under there. It's just kind of like a layer of mud dust. After about 2 hours of wire brushing, it's pretty clean. Hit up with a little brake parts cleaner, and then I'm gonna go grab the pressure washer and get the rest of the big stuff off with. All right, so I got both sides wire brushed, degreased with brake parts cleaner, and I'm gonna grab my pressure washer and see if I can blast any last little thing off before I start putting paint on it. Let's do this. So before I go to pressure washing, I got a mixture of like Purple Power and bubble stuff, like gazillion bubbles or whatever. It's kind of like a little bit of extra glycerin to make it all stick. Kind of like a wax and grease. Get all this fender up here. But I'm gonna let this kind of stick to everything. I'm gonna hit it with the pressure washer. It'll probably look exactly like this when it's done. But I know I took that extra step to get every little thing off of this frame before I try to put the paint on it. Been wanting to pressure wash the floor anyway. But here we go. Clean as a frame on restoration can get. So all this is taken care of. It's all nice and degreased. I hit up the rest of the frame too. And it's already starting to dry. Look at that. Yeah, on the underside of the fender walls is all sprayed off. Now I just need to let that frame dry. And tomorrow, after it's dried all night, I'll come back and put a coat of flat black frame paint on it, then start installing all of the drop spindles, springs, all the components. I'm beat. Time to go take a shower, start all over again tomorrow. So it's the next day in this video, and I had let my fan just blow from the underside up all night on it, and everything is nice and dry. I mean, like, nothing, no dirt at all whatsoever. So the paint ought to stick awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and just give this a wipe with some Chassis Saver flat black brush paint. And then we'll go ahead and let it dry, and I'll start installing all the front end components. So it's the next day again, and I let all this paint go ahead and dry up. It's now in, man, it's smooth. It is gorgeous. It's very, very sanitary under here. Gotta do something with that sway bar next. But yeah, man, it nice and clean. Got the back of the firewall. So now that it's all put back together, let's go ahead and slide the rack back in it, put the power steering rack in, and update these ball joint boots. Go on these things up here. A little cracking. The ball joints are tight, but I'm gonna put some new boots on them and start putting the truck back together. Pretty new parts. Carefully run this through here. And then carefully with new paint. New rack, new bushings. Gotta tighten the bolts up. So with a 24 and a 15/16, it's very close in size. Go ahead and tighten them up. This is the best part, putting it all back together clean. No grease, no nothing. With this in now, I can go ahead, hook up the steering rod back, and hook up all the plumbing to it. That means I can put the belt back on the front of the motor, fluid in the power steering pump, fluid in the radiator, all the belts back on. I had ordered some energy suspension dust boot covers, like I said earlier, and they'll be here tomorrow. So one more day in this video, we'll have the whole truck put back together.
With some side aggressiveness, a little bulky look, like it's just like a mean Hot Wheels car.
Yep.
You know, but I don't necessarily looking for mud grip. I just tend to lean toward the mud grip because
they're aggressive.
That look. But on the Suburban, you got the same look. So
right.
If I can get a street tire with aggressive look, with that rim, we talking badass now.
Yeah, they don't make one, so you got to go with an all-terrain.
Right. Okay.
Going back with the hose, there is a smaller thread and a larger thread. Smaller thread goes to the small part on the rack. The larger thread goes into the adapter on the power steering pump. That's why it's kind of got this U in it. Show you what I'm talking about. So here's a better way of showing y'all. The cooler lines are here. The one that takes the hose clamp goes to where the red nipple is. And the top line, I can show you right here, goes straight to the cooler. The bottom hole goes from your hose right in here. That'll thread in. Boom. And then, because it's tight, let me get a couple of threads threaded. Then your other hose here goes into this little extension right there. So that's the best way I can show you all hose routing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up all the fittings and then put some power steering fluid in it. Well, I got all my front end parts in. UPS and FedEx and the mail all stopped by, and let's go take them out the box and see what we're working with. More cardboard. Some nice cross-drilled and slotted front rotors. That's what I'm talking about. They do stop better. Don't believe the hype. And then box number 2. I believe this is some springs. Oh yeah. These are some 2-inch drop springs to replace the stock springs. All right, we're chilling under the RCSB project, under the on the lift here. In this box, be the drop spindles. The drop is going to be a 4-inch overall. Come packaged nicely. Super glossy. And that's the regular ones here. It's been lifted. So as your drop spindle, when you lift the hole, it drops the truck. And here we got what's going to make it ride good. It's not really your springs that make your truck ride good, it's the shocks. The springs just kind of hold everything up. You can get technical with them, but in the long run, your shock control the tire from bouncing. Your shocks also control the wheel from going up and down, the tire from hitting bumps. Gearhead's dream right there. We got us a sticker. But I went with the 5200 series or 5100 series Bilstein. And it's an off-road heavy duty shock, but because I'm want from 17s to 20s, and I really want the front of this truck to not bounce all over the place and soak up the bumps and give it a good ride even though it's lowered, I want the heavier shock to control the wheel better. And then to finish tying everything up, I got some energy suspension, sway bar bushings, dust boot caps for the ball joints and tie rod ends, and for the sway bar end links. So now that all my stuff came in, let's go ahead and put it all on the truck. I went ahead and installed the driver's side just to see how everything fit, and man, is it gorgeous. Check this out. So I got the drop spindle, and the dust boot for the tie rod end has not come in yet, so I haven't changed it out. Move that out the way. But the spring fits perfect. The red energy suspension dust boot to do it. That brand new coil spring and shock setup in there. And then since this is the 5100 or 5125 series shock, had to go ahead and make my own brackets to make them fit. Probably should have recorded that, but I didn't. This is what it looks like on the shock. Basically just took a piece of old angle iron and drilled some holes and cut it and ground it up to where it fit. Nothing rubs. And it gives the shock like 1 inch down to where it'll never bottom out with the drop spring. So it worked out in my favor. But everything's going back together nice and clean and sanitary. Looks really good in here. Still got to paint the calipers orange. They're going to sit right in this little area and put the hubs on. I think I'm about out of time in this video for that, but let's go ahead and throw the spring and shock and what pieces I do have on this side and show y'all how I put it all together. So here's the 2-inch drop spring, and here's the stock spring. And there's not much difference in the two springs. Yeah. So I guess 1 inch off the top turns into 2 inches all the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this rubber boot back on so I don't get any noises. Yeah. Go ahead and pop that in the truck. 2-inch drop spring. See, there's a coil space in there, and this needs to fit right inside of that spot. Ugh. There it is. Put the spring in its pocket, and to hold it up. Let's get this spinning. Oh, strong roots. Okay. This will take all the work out of it right here. So yeah, the spring falls right into the pocket. And then you just use this to go as high as it needs to go. And you pop the drop spindle in. So clean. I love it under here. Probably, really don't want to drive it. So So once this gets compressed enough, where you can slide that ought to be enough room. Ew. Love it when my wife decides that she wants new towels because sage green is out. Means I don't have to buy shop rags. I know it's colder in other places of the world besides South Louisiana, but man, I think it's like 44 degrees right now, but it's a wet 44. It's just miserable. One day, that closed-in shop will be mine. Just gonna trim this up, get as much junk off of it as I can. There we go. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Number one rule of mechanicking. A lot of times that'll get you in more trouble than if you just want to replace the broken part, which was only the dust boot cover. So I have my energy suspension, upper dust boot cover. That's the deal, yo. So this is a brand new ball joint. I changed it out. The other one had just a tiny little bit of slack, and it was the only one. Just wasn't comfortable with even the slightest little bit of slack because I want the truck to be nice and tight. So go ahead and push the upper out of the way. I came in the kit, so just for put the color there, slide the blower on. Now let's tighten this up and then do the shock. Look at that, all the way. Very nice. I can see through the cotter pinhole and everything. Ugh. A little bit more. There you go. This is what I mean by seeing through the cotter pin. When you line it up, see right through the hole right there. Back on the tripod for y'all. So I can just pop this cotter pin in. Give it a bend. Now go ahead and do the top. Same difference. If the top's going to want to spin on you, you can put a hex in the bottom of it. Back off the tripod. So this is what I mean when you try to put the bolt in. There's your bolt. It'll go right through right into the bottom if there's nothing in the way, but the top one, put it in the hole, it won't get around that joint. So pop the bolt in, that way you can just tighten everything up from here and then put your hub on when you're done. Little trick that we don't have to take it all completely apart again. But just put your bolt in first. And now you can go ahead and tighten it all back up. So we're spinning. I'm gonna grab my 6mm. Little socket thing. Yeah. And it's just a quarter drive. Because that's all you need to keep it from spinning. And an 18 for the bottom bolt. Man, I hope I can get this video up before the end of the day. So, 18mm, yes. And you want to put this on loosening because you're trying to hold back up for tightening. Here's your end result. And then your tie rod end just fits right in here. I'm waiting for the red polygraphite dust boot to show up for that because this one has better days. No slack in it at all. Super tight. But I want it to be able to hold grease. So I didn't see the point in changing parts that weren't broke. Just ordered some boots, which I was going to change anyway. I even got new ones for the sway bar. I need to pull that off and sand it and paint it. But now it's time for the shock. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my shock and put all my bushings on, or half my bushings on. You're now listening to the sounds of the illustrious Master P. So I'm gonna take the one with the nylon in it, put it on the shock boot and feed it through. Get this in place. Where you at, Pete?
Right, yep. Heard you filming.
Making me a little video on the front end of this RCSB project.
How's that working out?
Pretty awesome.
So you take a ride, it's been a while. Yeah, it's pretty clean on.
Yeah, it's clean, huh?
How are you do mine?
So I went and made these little brackets out of some angle and just drilled some holes, and they're gonna fit up into the stock location and kind of look factory once they're in there. So you kind of get it finger started because they're in there. And then you can drop the shock down, slide the bolt through. So make sure it won't come out. Then you can drop the shock down, like I said. Slide the bolt through it, and then tighten these up. The old tappy tap-a-roo. All the clearance you need. That's how I put a 5100 series shock on a 1500. So that's going to do it for the frame on the RCSB project. It's been wire brushed and brake parts cleaned and pressure washed and then painted black. So I got the front end pretty much put together. The springs are in, the shocks are in. It's not really going to go anywhere. I still need to install the hubs and the brakes. But I got a few more things I'm waiting on for shipping. The end boots for the tie rod ends, and then the sway bar. I got the bushings for the sway bar. There's not really anything wrong with these, but I believe the energy suspension ones are a little better. I have them over here in a pack. So I got the sway bar end links, brake rotors, and the bushings for the sway bar left to put back on. But I'm going to take the sway bar off, sand it down, paint it gloss black so it kind of match the drive shaft and have like a gloss matte kind of flip-flop going on, because like the springs are gloss but the frame's black, you know, and this is like a satin. So it's just different shades of black, I think, are going to look freaking awesome on this RCSB project. But I'm out of time for the week. I got to edit this video and try to get it up for today, which is Friday. And spent all week just kind of like waiting for parts and acquiring things to get this put together to make this video. So this one's going to be fun. It's coming along great, nice and clean. It's going to be a good performer. I appreciate y'all watching. Catch you next week. Later.